Welcome, everybody, to the soul of synth pop. This is your host, Jim Kelgar. That's right, Jim with two M's, one, two. Count them. Yeah, baby, that is moi. So, thank you so much, folks, and a very big hey to all of you that are out there checking out this wonderful thing we have called the Spotlight Series. And joining me, as always, is my absolutely awesome co host, and that would be Mae de Agua. How are you doing, Mae?
I'm doing pretty good, Jim. How are you doing?
You know what? I'm doing okay. I was up last night. I was recording another episode of The Soul of the Unexplained, and we had a couple of Skinwalker Ranch insiders on with us because it was all about Skinwalker Ranch and the upcoming season 5, which debuts in just a couple of days actually. And it was only supposed to be 2 hours, and we ended up going almost 3 hours. We just had so much fun talking about consciousness and UFOs, UAPs. I mean everything that pertains to Skinwalker Ranch. And so I ended up not even getting to bed until about 3 o'clock this morning. so
Well,
so if my eyes look a little bloodshot, there you go. But of course, today joining us is somebody that I've been so excited to have here on the Soul of Synth Pop Spotlight series. That handsome gentleman that you'll be seeing here in just a moment, if you haven't caught a glimpse of him already, the man, the myth, the legend. That's right, Mr. Martyn Bailey, hailing from the great country of England, of course. Mr. Bailey, how are you doing? And welcome.
I'm good, thanks, guys. Really good. So good to be here. Really appreciate you giving me the time to do this. So
A-
great.
Absolutely. And oh my gosh, I love that background that you have there behind you. That's just cool. It's so fitting for a
So
conversation.
fitting for the first album, eh? Red Sky Supernova.
I was about to
That's
say it reminds me of a song.
exactly.
Yeah,
In fact,
yeah,
it reminds me of my absolute favorite song of yours, which is no secret. And of course, that is The Last Astronaut. Holy cow. That song still gives me chills when I think
really.
about that song. Oh yeah.
Wow, that's good. Thank you. I like that.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we're excited to talk to you about, Martyn, is this last year you released an absolutely outstanding album called "Melodies of a Dream Thief." So before we start talking about this amazing new album that you've got, let's talk a little bit about how did you get started in your interest and your passion for music? Because I can tell by the way that you compose your lyrics and everything, you really feel the things that you're writing about, and the way that you're able to emote
Yeah.
vocally is unmatched in my opinion. You are probably the premier singer of anybody out there in the indie synth pop world, and it's like uh literally it's like I describe it so
Yeah.
many times on air as you're having the voice of an angel, and you really do. So how did everything get started for you? However long ago it was. What was it that made you fall in love with music? And tell us a little bit about how you kind
Yeah.
of got started.
Well, thanks, you. I really appreciate that. That's can't believe when you give me like compliments like that. That's unbelievable, really. Wow, really. But anyway, yeah. So as a kid, obviously growing up listening to music, again, what your family plays. It was my dad in this situation. Every car journey, he'd be playing his Beatles, Cliff Richard, the Shadows, stuff like that, and Petula Clark, Downtown. You heard of that?
Oh
All
yes.
60s, all 60s stuff. But I saw it as catchy music. I think it's nice to listen to in the car, but it didn't really move me or really do anything. I just sort of heard it as background noise. It was nice to listen to go from A to B. So I guess we were talking about sort of early 80s. This was, and then I think it got to. I used to watch obviously Saturday morning shows in the UK, which had music artists on, but again, nothing really sort of caught my attention really. I just sort of saw music as just nothing really, just as all right. And then I think I got to about 10 years old. I think it was December 1985, and we were breaking up for the holidays for Christmas. And the teacher said, "Right, tomorrow, the last day of term, I want you to bring in a favourite song of yours." And everyone had to bring in a song, and then we were going to write down and sort of to write down what instruments we heard in those songs and try and, really listen to the songs and just work out what instruments we could hear. So anyway, we did that the next day. I can't remember what I brought in, one of my dad's records, I think. But this girl brought in a recording on a tape of what was currently number one, or in the top 20, I think, in the UK. And it was, she pressed play, and then these like pianos started, and then this voice came in, and I was like, bang! My eyes just lit up, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up on end, and it was The Sun Always Shines on TV by Aha, a legendary Norwegian band. So I think it's no secret, people know that I love this. But that's how it happened. This girl in my class bought the tape in, she recorded it off the radio. It was like their latest song at the time. I hadn't heard Take On Me at this point. I heard The Sun Always Shines on TV. I was trying to write down all the instruments. I wrote down violin, and there's like electric guitar in there and drums and all that. And I came out of school, and I was just singing this chorus over and over again. The sun always shines. Touch me, touch me. Like this. And I went to Woolworths on the way home, which is like a big store in the UK at the time. And I went in there, and I said to the guy who sold music in there, and I said, "Look, I've heard this song at school today, and it's just saying 'touch me' in it, touch me." And the manager in there was saying, "I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure what that is." So I couldn't find this song. I wanted to know what this song was. I was trying to sing it to my mum and to my dad when I got home, and I just couldn't find it. And then that Christmas, we went to my cousin's in Brighton, and he was playing some songs in his bedroom, and this song came up, and I said, "What is it? What is it?" And he said, "It's Aha." He said, "So, would you like a copy of? Would you like to know what it is? Maybe write down what it's called, and you go down and get it." So he wrote down it was Hunting High and Low album, and I went down and got it, and that I became obsessed with this band. And when I saw what they looked like, I thought they looked really cool. And I was having a tough time at school at the time, and I used to shut myself in my bedroom when I got home and just sing along to that album, over and over again. And that, I guess, I sort of started about 10, 11 years old, starting to sing and take notice of music. And it wasn't much till much later on. So I was about 13, 14. A friend of mine who's a bit older than me started to introduce me to bands like Depeche Mode, Simple Minds, U2. And then I started, falling in love with those bands, but Aha was always my favorite. And that's, this guy had such an amazing voice. I wanted to try and replicate it. And I was having a tough time at school as well. I just wanted to, I hadn't really found myself. And, their music gave me a lot of confidence, and I wanted to do what he did, I wanted to try and make music, but that didn't come until much later on, when I actually left school when I was about 16, 17 and got into a band then. So that's how it sort of came about. It's just hearing one song that blew me away, and then falling in love with other artists that wrote similar styles of music.
That's so cool. So you one of the things that you did to kind of develop your voice was just you would come home and you would just kind of sing along to Aha and these other bands.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a great thing. I mean, my background was kind of similar, with the exception that I'm not at all a singer. As anybody who's ever heard my music knows, I'm not a great singer. Kind of became the singer by default. But for me, it was like not too dissimilar with that, but with keyboards. And so what I would do is, when my mom and dad finally bought me my first keyboard, it's about 16 or 17 years old, and so I would listen to all my favorite songs on the radio, particularly classic OMD and Depeche Mode and stuff like that, and I would just kind of try to play by ear and listen to the melodies. And
Yeah.
before I knew it, I knew how to play the melodies. And then I would figure out, okay, there's another musical part in there. What is it? So then I would pick out what the bass line was. And
Yeah.
so throughout all those years, that was how I literally I taught myself how to play the synthesizer, how to play the keyboard. I learned all about chord progressions and things like that. But it all
Amazing.
started when I was very young. And that's awesome. So what was it that did it for you regarding, say, Martyn Morton Harkett's voice? What is it that drew you in to his amazing voice? What
I
was that
just think,
moment like for you?
yeah, I think what it was just so, I've never heard a singer with as much emotion of what they were singing as what he does. I think that's what it was. It was just so, he just believed everything. It was like, you know, the sun always shines on TV. It's such a powerful song, and the way he sings touched me. And you know, I think some of the lyrics are, I reached inside myself and found nothing there to ease the pressure. And I felt, you know, these lyrics were also relating to how I was feeling. I got bullied at school quite a bit, teased quite a bit when I was younger. And I just, you know, was very quiet, and I didn't know how to sort of express myself. I was always worried about what other people thought of me. And so I just always used to be very quiet and just shut up. But when I got home and I was listening to my records, I just imagined that I was this, you know, person that, I was just trying to sing. I just wanted to sing. I wanted to sing like that. I wanted to, but discover my own voice somehow and sing like that. And I wanted to influence other people like they'd influenced me. And also sort of he was a big idol for me. I modeled myself on him as well, because I just felt like a nobody at school, and I just wanted to have somebody to idolize, and someone that I felt, maybe I can be a bit more like him, and be more popular or be or whatever. And that, I don't know, it really helped me. And then I found out that about his personal life. This guy he's quite a good role model, because he wasn't into drugs. He didn't drink. More than, I thought that's someone I want to follow. And he was really popular. And it just really helped me for a real dark time in my life. Really, I came from a big family. It's not my mum and dad's fault. I think there were six. There's six in the family. My mum and dad and four kids.
Oh wow.
And I just found the household very busy. I was the oldest,
Hmm.
and my brothers, needed a lot of time, and my sister. I just felt like, because I was the oldest, I had to like do everything first, and sort of fend for myself, as it were. So I had my own room, which was nice. Being the oldest, I got my own room. My two brothers shared, and my sister had her own room. But I just shut myself in that room, and just sort of, that was my way of trying to work out who I was, what I was doing, by singing along to these songs, and just somehow trying to find some confidence and find myself. Um, when it got to 15, I used to sing for about 3 hours in my room. I used to do all the first four Aha albums back to back. So that's Hunting High and Low, Scoundrel Days, Stay on These Roads, East of the Sun, West of the Moon. Then I used to sing Black Celebration, Depeche Mode album. And then I and then I used to do the Duran Duran album, the wedding album, with Ordinary
Inner
World
world, yeah.
and Come Undone on it. And so, after singing all those, I used to do this every night. My voice was getting really strong, but at the same time, it's just so, my voice was messed up, so tired. But I just used to, it became like a ritual, going through those like 5, 6 albums, singing them along after my dinner. I'd get up there and just pretend I was on stage singing these songs, to people. And that was about 15, 16 years old, and I wasn't confident enough to go out and do it in public yet. And a friend of mine taught me a really clever trick, of simple thing of just putting your hand over your ear when you're singing along to the songs. And he said, when you hear that echo, you hear yourself when you put your hand over your ear. That is what you sound like to other people.
Hmm.
So, I started doing that, and that was really helpful to me. And I thought, yeah, actually, I think this sounds quite good. And then I finally got the confidence to go and sing public for the first time. I think I was 15, 16, and it was on a holiday camp, like a holiday camp,
Hmm.
this yearly holiday, and they do a talent show. And I was too old to go in the kids' talent show. I had to go in the adults' talent show. And I
Hmm.
had a backing track of The Sun Always Shines on TV. And I went out there, and I think there's about 12, 15 adults as well, doing in the talent show, doing various comedy acts, magic trick, whatever. And I just went out there and belted The Sun Always Shines on TV out for the first time. And I couldn't believe I won it. I won the talent show, and that really, sort of drove home the confidence really in me, that I can sing it, and people think I'm good. And then, from there, when I left school, I started to join a band and start writing our own stuff.
Fantastic. May, I don't know about you, but I would have loved to have been there to witness that moment where he's saying "The sun always shines on TV." How about you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about, how did your siblings feel about hearing you every day singing the same songs for hours?
Well,
And
they, I think they just accepted it really. I think they weren't in the room next door in their bedroom. They were like downstairs. I don't think they even knew I was really sort of doing it. They must have heard it, you know. I just thought, oh, Martyn's just doing his thing, you know. He's just up there, you know. We're doing our thing. They had always had friends round, or they were doing homework or whatever. Um, but um, but I did annoy the people actually when I was rehearsing on the holiday. I was actually staying with a friend the first week, and the second week my family joined me. But the first week I was staying with a friend because I was about 15, 16. So it's the first time I stayed with another family for the first week of the holiday. And I was rehearsing in these chalets, and they're all joined, okay. And afterwards, these other families were coming up to me after I did the talent show and said, "My God, that was amazing!" And we're actually just wanted to tell you, we're actually sick of hearing that song now because we actually in the chalets next to you, we've heard it like like 6 hours a day for the past week, you practicing. But well done, you know. And
Right.
I had people coming up to me saying, "It's no way you sung that. You mimed it like this." So that again, that was a compliment to me. I thought, wow,
Yeah.
a 15,
yeah,
16-year-olds just to sing that, you know.
yeah. And it had to be incredibly affirming that, you're on the right track, that you're doing
Yeah,
that.
exactly right. And I just sort of projected my voice and just pretended I was him for 5 minutes singing that song. So I watched videos of Morton was he was very interactive with the audience back then when when I first started. I was like doing his moves and stuff. I sort of dressed like him, had the white Reeboks on, the black leather jacket, white t-shirt, the wristbands, and just pretended I was
Right.
him for 5 minutes. So yeah, it was great, and to get that recognition, actually winning the competition, I'd done nothing like that before. Wanting to do it, it was just a real buzz, real buzz.
And a lot of people don't understand how difficult it is to, first of all, get in front of people and speak, right? But
Hmm.
to sing is another proposition entirely. And I was terrified for years of the notion of getting up in front of people and singing. And it's still something I'm not entirely comfortable with, but that's you hear so many stories of really famous singers. A lot of them actually struggle with stage fright and with having that fear of getting up on stage and their voice, just they kind of get inside their own head and it's like, gosh, and so just the fact whenever somebody I see has the courage to get in front of a microphone and sing, um, it just automatically I get a little bit of respect for them, whether they are great or whether they completely suck at what they're doing, because it takes an awful lot of courage to get in front of a microphone and sing, whether or not you're any good. So that's
It does.
that's always a bit of a scary moment for me.
Yeah, well, I was waiting in the wings watching all these adults go through, and I knew I was coming up. I think I had to wait quite a while, and I was absolutely shaking. I was shaking. But I think when the music started, and I edited this backing track myself, because it was actually I got it from an extended version. It was about 8 minutes long, and I
Right.
was like taping it from a CD, and I was like cutting the tape, the
Hmm.
actual tape itself, and sellotaping it, and hoping it was just about right. That it wasn't this extended version. It was like literally 5 minutes, and it did. It kind of worked out okay. And when it played, and I did it. But once there's that really long power note at the beginning of Somewhere Shines on TV.
Yep.
To me, that bit. And
To
once,
me.
yeah, that bit. And, obviously, once you've done that and you hear the crowd absolutely going wild and all the nerves are suddenly, really relaxed.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but yeah, I was very, very, very nervous. You know, interesting quick story actually about nerves. About 2 years before that, I was a bit of a break dancer. I was quite good at break dancing. I entered the
Nice.
kid. I entered the kids competition for a breakdance competition on the same holiday camp a couple of years before, and I must have been about, I don't know, 12, 13, something like that. And I was so nervous. They were calling my name, and I just ran to the toilet and locked myself in the toilet. I couldn't go through with it. And they're calling my name over the tannoy, saying, "We have Martyn Bailey. You want to see Martyn Bailey?" And I was just crying in the toilet, just saying, "I can't do it. I can't do it." And I waited until they went on to the next person. And then I went to see my mum after she was in the crowd. I said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter." But the feeling of regret that I didn't actually go through with it was by far outweighed any nerves and like that. I was so cross with myself that I didn't do it. So then that taught me a lesson, and I think that gave me the confidence when I was started singing to actually go out there and not let myself down, actually give it a shot for singing without bottling it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a
Let's
nice comeback.
Yeah. Yeah.
right on. So let's kind of fast forward a bit and talk about your first album, your debut album, which to this day remains an album that I listen to on a regular basis, and it came out what almost 11 years ago, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, back in 2013.
That's
And
right.
so it's an album called Red Sky Supernova, and it's almost like a concept album of sorts, is it not?
Yeah. So I was in a band at the time, a covers band with some friends, and I had a title idea, which is Red Sky Supernova, and I wanted to write a sci-fi album. And it was supposed to be with the band, but because we're all like dads and we're so busy, we were rehearsing for the covers, to go out and do shows sort of every weekend, and but we couldn't find extra time to actually record our own stuff. Just too busy to do that on top of doing the cover stuff.
Hmm.
So I said to the guys, "Look, I've written 3 songs." And the guitarist actually he came up with the intro for Red Sky Supernova. I came up with the title, he came up with the intro. What he did, that strange sort of deep sort of cello sort of sound
Hmm.
at
Yep.
the beginning. That was actually done by the guitarist experimenting with a violin bow on his guitar. And that's how he played it. Those original notes were copied.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was just messing about, and that came out with the intro. Anyway, so I had these 3 songs. I said, "Look, guys, I've written like 3 demos. I've got an offer to go and record them with my brother's producer, my little brother. He's got a friend of his who's a really good producer. Can I go and do it? And then you guys see what it's like, and then if it's good, maybe we can all find some time and go down and record them properly." So I went to the studio. I recorded Red Sky Supernova demo, Panic in the Skies demo, and Little Lie demo. And then I did them all in a day, and it took about 6, 7 hours. Unbelievable. This producer's so quick. So what I did was I had the lyrics, I had the melody worked out, and I can't play. I can play a bit keyboard, but I would sing it to this guy. He's so quick. He would just work out the chords. I sing the melody. I tell him what sort of style I wanted the song to sound like, and then we worked it out from that and got these 3 demos done. I took it back to the guys, and they absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. But then, we just didn't get time to go in and do it as a band. So I said, "Look, do you mind if I go out and do it on my own?" And that's it. So they said, "Yeah, we don't mind, Mark, but yeah, just crack on." So that's how I became, me, because it was going to be released as a band, but just didn't have time. So I just went out and did it on my own. It's how it happened.
That's fantastic. There are so many songs on there that still resonate very deeply with me, and I don't think any song more so than The Last Astronaut, which is to this day, if I were to make a list of the finest, say the top 10 indie synth pop songs that have come out in the last 10, 15 years, I would absolutely put The Last Astronaut probably in the top three. Because
Wow.
that song, for some reason, just the way that you sing it, and of course those doom 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 I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, chills
Right.
down my spine. I mean, it's just the atmosphere, and that's I think the key word that I want to kind of focus on now is the atmosphere that you create in all of your tracks is just it's otherworldly. It's not something that you see very many indie artist able to capture that kind of vibe and atmosphere as well and as effectively and consistently as you do. And what I've always used as one of the greatest examples of an album that is just replete with atmosphere is Depeche Mode's Black Celebration,
Yeah.
which is my all-time favorite album. And that's an album where, you know, it's literally just now a lot of it may be because that album is just drenched in reverb, but it's also the songwriting. I mean, it's just there's like this soundscape that is created that just permeates and just flows throughout the entire Black Celebration album, and you have that same kind of a vibe and atmosphere that carries on throughout the entire Red Sky Supernova album from the very opening the very opening chord of the very first song to the very final fade out of the final song on the album. Um, I mean, it may seem like a simple thing to people that aren't familiar with the recording process and the creative process, but that's not easy to do. That's not easy to be able to get that vibe that just kind of is, continues and carries just throughout the entire album from front to back. And not just the atmosphere, but the actual quality of the songwriting. Your songs, I mean, Little Lie, it's a combination of the way you sing it when you go up in that falsetto, but also just the nature of the lyrics. I mean, there's just something that's so sincere and so native about the way that you write your songs, and your lyrics in particular uh, is something that I just still look up to with absolute awe and admiration and respect, because I wish I could write songs like you do. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. So major tip of the hat to you as a songwriter as well, Martyn. So
It's
tell me
very
a little.
emotional for me to hear stuff like that because I think also I forgot to mention as well is music is such a powerful thing. When your emotions are running high when you're growing up as a kid. I used to at night time, it's time for bed. Pitch black, time to go to sleep. I used to have the headphones on, the Walkman on, and that for me, and listening to like Black Celebration album or Hunting High and Low, and hearing everything, and it's just in here, and it's dark, and you're alone with your thoughts, and hearing that music, it's such a powerful thing,
Mhm.
and it makes you feel things, it makes you go places, dreamscapes, whatever, that you wouldn't normally go in everyday life, and that's what you want to bottle. That's what you want to get. You want to feel like that majority of the time because it feels amazing. This music's making you feel amazing.
Right.
And it's atmospheric and it's otherworldly, if you like. And that's what I wanted to bottle, that feeling, that thing. And that's what I like about music. I don't like what people call happy, clappy music. Don't I? I think, forget it was some artist said, if you hear a happy song on the radio, sometimes it's so dull, isn't it? It's so boring. It's like, it's such a way he explained it was he said, listening to a happy song,
Hmm.
it's like watching a film where you know the ending. I think that's
Hmm.
such a great way of describing, like, you hear like a really happy upbeat song and you think, yeah, it's
Oh.
good, but yeah, he doesn't, yeah, it's nice to listen to, but it doesn't really, it doesn't really tug at anything. It doesn't really, get you going.
Hmm.
So that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to create music that makes you think or makes you feel something, makes you, you know, think something that you wouldn't normally think or normally feel,
Right.
but it felt good. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to try and do with my music and my songwriting. I wasn't writing it for other people or making music. I think people were like this. I was doing it because I wanted to make music that I like and that I would want to listen to. So
Hmm.
that's what I kind of tried to do. And I think I used to listen to was it? There's a really good Kim Wilde album that came out called Close in the '80s. I listened
Right.
to that
Hmm.
a lot. Music for the Masses and Violator massively. Ice House as well. That friend
Oh,
I was telling you about earlier, I absolutely adore Ice House. I mean, I think Ivor Davies has got a very similar voice to Morton Harkett, really,
yes.
full of emotion, great range.
Hmm.
And even some of the B-side songs, like album tracks, like Trojan Blue, you know, just absolutely, just there's something in that song that just blows me away. It just makes me feel something. I want to live inside that song.
Yeah.
Um, and Black Celebration, like Depeche Mode, the actual album track, that Black Celebration track, I think is one of the best tracks ever. From a synth pop point of view, it's just so makes you feel so much, doesn't it? It's
Oh
just
yeah.
such a powerful,
Yeah.
powerful song. And
Hmm.
again, Scoundrel Days as well by Aha, which should have been a single. It's criminal, it wasn't a single. It's the Scoundrel Days by Aha. It's just a phenomenal song of, that dreamy sort of atmospheric pop, powerful pop.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I do actually. I'm one of these people that do like those happy songs occasionally, but you're absolutely right. And I'm like, I'm listening to that. I'm going, gosh, Martyn, that is such a British comment to make. Happy music stuff.
Happy clappy.
And it must be
I
an
apologise to
American.
people that make happy music.
Oh,
I do
no,
like. I'm
no.
just saying that it doesn't take me to the other
Oh,
depths. I like to
oh
go to.
yeah, yeah. No,
We need to
you.
be,
Yeah.
I was
Go
to say,
ahead,
we
May.
need to be stoic and have a stiff upper lip, and we don't have emotion. So, but I think the happy though, when I hear you talking about there's conflict just in writing in alone. You have to have a conflict, man against man,
Yeah,
man against nature. And so
yeah,
I think that in songs, it's got to have the same thing because it's going to resonate with what people struggle with. But when you have the happy, positive songs, a lot of times they are, I've overcome this and now
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
celebrating it. And,
yeah.
you feel that that inspires other people to feel that they can do the same. So, I hear what you're saying about happy clappy. Like if you just start out, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands all the way through. There's no trial there to get over.
No, no,
It's just
absolutely not.
a joyful noise, which is also something I very much appreciate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've written songs like Boys and Girls, and
Boy,
that
I
to
was gonna
me,
say
that's
boys
a
and
happy,
girls.
that's a
Wow.
happy
Yeah.
song. That's a
Yeah.
happy sort of song. Yeah, but I'm just saying that the things that inspired me are to create atmospheric, like
Yeah.
beautiful stuff that make you
Hmm.
think. That is my preference. That makes sense.
Well, it's yeah, and I totally agree with you because I look at the songs that mean the most to me, the songs that are the most enduring to me are not songs like Depeche Mode's "Just Can't Get Enough."
Yeah,
The songs that mean the most to me, and it's not even a synth pop song, but "Silent Lucidity" by Queensryche. It's one of the most beautiful songs that I've ever listened to, and it's a ballad. And then you've got a song like Your Silent Face by New Order that is just this really, again, dreamy, atmospheric. I love stuff by the Pink Floyd is one of my all-time favorite bands. And so when I go to retreat to my place where I like to just get lost in the music, it's usually Black Celebration that I'm listening to, the whole album, backwards to forwards. The Cure's Disintegration album, that's another album that I just get lost in because it's just so, it just swallows you up with the atmosphere that it has. And so I completely agree that the really truly great songs are songs that are like that are of a more I don't want to say darker, but that are of a more
it's
serious,
melancholy, isn't it? It's melancholy stuff.
melancholy and reflective, I guess is the best
Yeah,
way to say it. The
Yeah.
reflective
Reflective.
and melancholy songs. Those are the ones that truly last the longest and that I think make the biggest impact. And again, that's not to say that, because quite obviously I'm a huge fan of bands like Dead or Alive and Erasure and Yazoo that are all about the pop and the happy. And one of the things that I've always talked about on my show is, I believe that the dark and the light, they have to coexist together because that's what life is. We have moments where we are melancholy and where we're sad and where we're depressed and we feel, hopeless about life sometimes. But then we also have those moments of sunshine where it's like, you know what? It's good to
yeah,
be alive. I feel good to be alive. I think of the happy moments like when my children were born. Those are
yeah,
happy, joyous occasions. And then on the other side, and when I've just gone through the loss of both of my parents, that's like the ultimate high, the ultimate low.
yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and the great thing is that music, for me anyway, music is what gets me through all of those moments, both the happy and the sad. And it's like my mother always told me, that music was the universal language. Music was God's language, as it were. It's a medium that everybody can relate to. And it doesn't mean that we're all going to like the same music, that we're going to be moved by the same pieces of music, but music can speak to us in ways that nothing else can. And there is
Yeah,
no language barrier when we're talking about music because music is something that you feel. And
that's right.
Martyn, when it comes to your music definitely gives me the feels. I mean, especially that Red Sky Supernova album. And there are songs on Melodies of a Dream Thief and on your Dolls album. I mean, I still dream of Antarctica. Holy cow. Talk
Oh
about
yeah.
another song that gives me the
Mhm.
chills. Pink Floyd type vibe with that amazing guitar work on it. You really know how to craft a song that moves me, that moves, and I as a DJ, the thing that I have to think whenever I select a song to play on my show, you know, if I've got a song that really moves me, chances are when I play this, there's going to be somebody else out in the audience that's going to hear this and they're going to be moved in the same way that I am. Just like whenever, we hear a song that really resonates with us, particularly lyrically, you'll be like, man, I know what that guy was thinking about. I know what he means when he wrote that song because I've felt that same way. And you just have that poetic way with the way you write songs, Martyn, that really pulls that together and coalesces into something really special. And it's been an absolute privilege in that regard, as not only a listener of your music, but as somebody who is out there promoting independent synth pop and independent pop music, to have music as impactful and as wonderful and joyful to listen to as your music. So, really, again, tip of the hat to you, sir, for the way that you're able to pull that all
Thanks,
together.
guys. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I
Really.
know May, you have a friend May who is a bit of a Martyn Bailey fan. That'd be Scott, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So
and Scott coming into the soul of synth pop, I met him through the Anything Box quarantine streams, and so I said, hey, you like this music? You should check out this show here. And so yeah, it was he heard Martyn Bailey, and he just yeah, if you look at Martyn Bailey's Bandcamp page, Scott's little icon is on everything. I mean, he loves Aha, and so naturally he was very drawn to Martyn's voice and just and the lyrics and such. And when we talk about the positive and the negative songs, most people know how to express positive emotions. I'm happy, I'm excited, but then we kind of were told to not express negative emotions as much. And so that's why I think a lot of the songs that go a little deeper, because not everybody's a poet, and some people just can't articulate the way they feel, so that when they do hear a song where the lyrics resonate with them, it's not something they necessarily would have thought to say themselves. And then that's why they form these attachments to these songs, because here, this is the way I feel. I'm not going to say it directly, but this song, it speaks to me. And I think that's a very important role that musicians play, is that when they have the ability and the talent to be able to express those emotions, it benefits other people that aren't necessarily right there being able to articulate that themselves. So yeah.
I
No, thank
completely agree. For me, it's like there are songs out there that when I listen to them, they honestly get me misty eyed. There's music that makes me cry, just because of how beautiful it is, or how well articulated, as you said, May, that a lyricist is able to articulate and then pair it with music that is equally uh, powerful. And
yeah,
when music is able to affect you to that point to where you feel it so much, it just it brings you to tears. That's something that once you experience it, it changes you forever. And I had those experiences where songs really hit me like that. Going back to when I was a child. I mean, I remember listening to the Star Wars soundtrack and feeling what it was like to have the hair stand up on the back of my neck, like the particularly the throne room scene. Like the dun 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 dun. Dun.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
those big horns. It's like,
So
oh my
powerful,
gosh,
isn't it?
very powerful. And so when you feel music like that, it's like a drug. And then when you're a performer and you're able to perform music on stage for people, and then you get the energy of the crowd and they start, getting into what you're doing, it's just, there is no greater satisfaction or feeling as a songwriter, as a musician, as a performer, to be on stage and watch that magic of music start to take hold of the people that's out there in the audience. And that's it's one of the things that I love about being a musician.
Yeah.
And I love being, it's just, I can't imagine my life without music in it. And I got to go back to a comment that you made, Martyn, about Ice House, because Ice House is one of my absolute favorites. And Iva Davies, I mean, talk about a singer that just, gives me those chills, the really good kind of chills, is Iva
Yeah.
Davies. I mean, when he sings like No Promises or
Yeah.
Crazy, he can
Yeah.
belt it or he can croon it nice and gentle. I mean, just
Yeah.
such a
It's,
powerful, yeah, just love it.
it's the money notes, isn't it? It's what I love to do. Is that I love vocalists that have that sort of high, that can switch from low and go into that lovely little, just gentle falsetto or high chest voice,
Right.
and like Ivor Davis does in No Promises, and songs like Hey Little Girl,
Hey Little Girl. Oh my gosh. Yes.
and Man of Colors as well is
Mm,
unbelievable.
yes.
Um, you know, and I think that's why I wanted to try and get my voice to do that, and with Mortyn as well. Morton's got a phenomenal falsetto, and then there's Jimmy Somerville, and then Andy Bell as well from Erasure. He's got a fantastic voice. Love a little respect, and sometimes. And my favourite one though of Erasures is Blue Savannah. Funnily
Oh
enough,
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
love that track. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to try and do these like high notes, and as I was in the choir at school and in the church and stuff, so I think that helped me a lot when I was a kid. And because I was singing every day for those hours after school I was telling you about, and after my dinner, I think when my voice broke because I was singing so much, it kind of didn't really have a massive effect on my singing voice. That's what I think anyway, because I was singing all the time. It sort of, I don't know. Obviously, my voice did break, but I could still have that falsetto. I still had it, um, So, but obviously, it's really funny when I tune into your show. Some people message me and go, "We're just waiting for that golden moment when you go into your high voice, Martyn. We're just waiting for that. That's what Martyn Bailey's all about. We just want to hear the high voice."
Yeah.
But then if you did that all the time, and that it would just be boring, wouldn't it? So you've got to keep it
Well,
interesting.
I love how you phrase that, the money note. I mean, well, like in The Last Astronaut, when you go, I sing, it's like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, there it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting that the very first time I ever heard your voice was actually not with the Red Sky Supernova album. It actually goes back earlier to when you were working with John Russell or
yeah,
John Technic, and you guys did this absolutely outstanding little EP of Aha covers, and
yeah,
it was the most extraordinary thing I'd ever heard because John is this ridiculously talented synth guy,
yeah.
and then you had the voice. I mean, I thought there were times I was listening to Aha demos because you just nailed the Morton Harkett vocal style perfectly. And
Yeah.
to this day, that's one of my favorite little gems that I have is that little EP of Aha covers. And oh my gosh, May, if you've never had a chance to listen to that, you are in for a treat when you finally get to hear some of those songs because it's really extraordinary.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look for that. And Scott's gonna be right on that too. He's gonna be like, find this for me. Because I think that's like, perfection there. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was interesting doing that actually because John, I don't know how John found me actually. I think he was at a hairdresser's. That was it. I think he was getting his hair cut, and like the hairdresser, the classic, isn't it? Of you talk about everything with your hairdresser, right?
right.
Anyway, he said he'd heard some guy, I think it was me obviously, said some guy called Martyn Bailey, heard of him, lived in the area because we live quite near each other. I haven't seen him for quite a while actually, John, actually, bless him. I need to get in touch with him. But this John was getting his hair cut and he said, "Oh, right, who's that? What's his name?" I said, "Oh, Martyn Bailey. I think he's on Facebook or whatever. And I think he reached out to me, said, look, would I meet him? He's got his name for his hairdresser, and they heard that I was a good singer, and I was in an Aha tribute band at the time. That was it. He'd seen me in an Aha tribute band, and he went, John was interested in making an Aha covers album. So he heard from his hairdresser there was this Aha covers a band out there, and he'd seen me at the weekend, and I'm sure his name was Martyn Bailey. And then anyway, he found me and contacted me. I went around his house. We had a meeting. We sort of, he said, would I be interested in doing like a stripped down sort of version of Aha songs, with his own unique style John's got. It's fantastic. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So we worked out I think we recorded about 15, 16 songs, and then we had to whittle it down to about 8 or 9 of what would be on the EP, like an extended EP or something. So yeah, that's how it came about, and we did that. But yeah, there's some other songs out there, Jim. I think we'll have to try and find them that didn't actually make the cut. So I think we did the Things and Scandal Days that didn't actually make the cut on the album. But yeah, that's how that came about.
That's awesome. I loved listening to it, and that was the first time I ever heard your voice. And then when I heard that you were going solo, and then a couple years later you released the Red Sky Supernova album, it was an instant buy for me. I knew I had to have it. And then it was shortly thereafter. The one who actually introduced me to your Red Sky Supernova album was Tony Blue from EMT, and he was
good friends of mine. Love Tony and Emma.
And I love Tony and Emma too. And Tony was like, you got to hear this guy sing. He's absolutely amazing. And I'm like, Martyn Bailey, where do I recognize that name from? And then as soon as I heard you sing, I was like, that's the guy that John was working with. So I was like, wow, and I was just blown away.
Oh, thanks, man.
So yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit now and talk about your new album, Melodies of a Dream Thief. Tell us about how all of your idea for Melodies of a Dream Thief came about, and what the creative process for developing that was like.
Yeah, so even after making the second album, Dolls, and the first album, I still had a few songs that hadn't been released on those albums. I just didn't think they were fit. They weren't right as a package. But obviously, me and my wife were bringing up children, and I had a bit of a break from after Dolls. But I had these songs sort of coming around. There's about 3 or 4 that didn't make the first 2 albums, and then I had this melody for Boys and Girls, and the lyrics, like the verses for that, I wanted to get down. And but my producer was he got signed, and because he's a singer himself, and he was away doing that, and I didn't think he was available anymore. But then COVID hit, and I contacted him just after when lockdown started to go, and I to see what he was up to. And he said, "Look, I'm available. I'm not doing this stuff anymore. COVID's hit me hard." So he said, "I can record another album with you if you want." I said, "That's amazing." I said, "Look, I've got about 10, 11 songs now. So you know me, I always do like a reprise at the end. So there's an instrumental at the end there. So I booked a week out of work and went to just shacked up with him for a week, and literally got the 10 demos recorded in that week. That was probably, how long ago was that? That's probably about 2021, 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we did that for the whole week, and then I spent a year. Honestly, it was terrible, really. A year just going back for a day or two and just tweaking, making lots of tweaks. I'm terrible. And then he says to me, "Martyn, for goodness sake, honestly, we keep going like this. I don't mind because you're paying me. You're paying me a daily rate, but you're going to end up spending so much. You've got to make a decision here. You need to just find the line." And just say, right, put that song to bed now, because we can be doing this forever. But I was such a perfectionist this time because it'd been so long I've released something, and because I didn't release something straight away after Dolls, I lost a lot of fans, and fans had to find me again, which I found a bit tough this time. But I just wanted to get this album out. I wanted to make an album where I said to myself, look, I want to make an album where where nearly every song could be a single.
Mhm.
That's the challenge I kind of set myself. That's what, and I had the title "Melodies of a Dream Thief." So let's back that title up. That every single song has got to have a kick-ass melody in it. That's going to have a chorus that just goes on your brain. And yeah, that's what I was aiming for. So I just went in the studio and I worked out every single song, what I wanted, what the influences were. Because when I write songs and the melodies, I take them to my producer and I say, right, this song is influenced by these 2 or 3 tracks, and we listen to them. And I said, I want the same vocal effect, as these tracks as well on my track. And we, work it all out. We lay it all down simply first, using normal keyboard chords and that, and then we choose that. I go in and choose the sounds afterwards. And I go, right, I want to do 2 verses and a chorus here, and then I want to go into like a middle 8, or I want to go into a bit of instrumental, and then go back into the chorus. So I know I'm quite fussy. I know exactly how I want the song structure to work,
Right.
and then I tweak it sort of as we go.
Yeah.
Swap things about, or take the middle 8 out if it sounds too long or gets boring, or whatever. And then I go home and then I'd listen to it on it. That's the beauty of doing it like that, is I can go home and listen to it on my headphones for 2 months and then write notes and see if there's anything I want to change. And I go back in the studio and make the tweaks.
Right.
So that was it. But Boys and Girls was one of the first demos I did from that, and I released it really early from the album. And then I said the album was. I kept saying to you as well, "When's this album coming out, Martyn?" I said, "Well, it will be here." But that's because I was making so many changes still, and I wasn't entirely happy. I thought it could be better. So I released Boys and Girls first because I hadn't released anything for so long. And I was so excited to get the song out there. It's such
Yeah.
a poppy song. I thought people are going to love this, and it was getting towards summer, and I thought it's such a summer song. I just wanted to get it out. But I thought
Absolutely.
I worry about the album later. It doesn't matter if it comes out 6 months after. Let's just get this song out because it was so catchy, and I was so happy with the way it sort of turned out. I was listening to The Weeknd a lot at that time, and the Blinding Lights was kind
Blinding
of a
lights.
big influence on that song. I don't know if you noticed, but at the beginning of Boys and Girls, it gives away the hook. That and then it
Yep.
kicks in, and that's kind of how Blinding Lights starts. He's got the hook playing very
Hmm.
sort of
Yeah.
low first, and then the
Yep.
song kicks in. So I sort of nicked that sort of style there of how that song would work.
Well, and
Straight up synthwave. Gotta
yeah,
love it. I love it.
and there's no mistaking that, hey in there. So yeah, I love that part. Oops, sorry,
Yeah,
dogs.
yeah, it's
When
a
I,
bit aha touchy style. That is, there's a lot of haze in touchy.
yeah.
It's a bit like that, bit cheese, but that's what it is, isn't it? It's cheesy summer fun. That track.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I loved it so much. I awarded it Song of the Year,
Yeah, if you
that year
did,
that it came out.
thank you for
And
that, Jim. That was I was so overwhelmed by that. Actually, thank you for that.
oh, you're so welcome. My audience absolutely loved it. That was like one song when I played. Even some of the most, there are people out there that just do not like a lot of the happier, more upbeat stuff that I play, and even they were like, damn, this is a good song. And I'm like, right? So that song was like that was the song for what was that, 2021 or 2020, that when that came out. I mean, it was huge. And people couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't get enough of it. And that was just a little taste of what was to come on the rest of the album. You had a follow-up single that came out after Boys and Girls called Pop Star,
Yeah,
where I loved it because you were just name dropping all these great artists that I grew up with, that you grew up with, and once again, you just had that melody. There were so many melodies that were in that song "Pop Star" that just it was like
yeah,
the perfect follow up single to Boys and Girls. And the looking at music overall, for me, one of the things that I think matters the most when it comes to a song is melody. You've got to have that great memorable melody. You got to have that hook, that great melodic hook. And your music, particularly on like Boys and Girls and Pop Star, is just filled with those melodies. And So your album Melodies of a Dream Thief is aptly named in that regard. And even saying aptly, I mean that's no pun intended there because you had a music project called Apt, which was
That's right.
one we mentioned yet. Um, but no, you just really have that knack for building those melodies. And I could not I can't think of two better lead off singles to have for Melodies of a Dream Thief than Boys and
Yeah.
Girls and Pop Star. So tell us a little bit about Popstar. That seems like you kind
Yeah.
of put a lot of heart. That was kind of like your fun, name
Very
dropping.
personal song. Very
Yeah.
personal
So
song
so
to me.
tell us about that. Tell us about Popstar.
Yeah, so I think that kind of just that song describes what I sort of said in this interview at the beginning. Is it's was talking about my school days. You know, the bell would ring, and you know you want to get out of school and get home. Didn't like enjoy school very much. You know,
Right.
found it quite difficult. And you know, listening to my music at home, you know, I think it would be you know a lot of music people's similar story. You know that they felt. You know, I think it's not uncommon that you know, kids didn't enjoy school too much, and it was quite tough fitting in, you know, and going home, putting your records on, and you know, escaping for a while. So it's those lyrics, you know, especially the first verse is about you know me doing that and dreaming about being a pop star, basically. And uh, I was. A big shout out actually to Peter Steer, who actually plays guitar on that track. You heard of Peter
Oh yeah.
Steer from Tenet fame, and
Yes.
yeah, yeah, great guy. So yeah, we've been talking like over the years since I've been doing music. Just you know, I'm just chatting. We met on Facebook and on you know various radio shows you know that we've been played on.
Hmm.
And you know, I just got talking to him, and he, you know, I asked him if he played guitar on one of my tracks. He said he'd love to. So yeah, he played guitar on that track, um, and it you know turned out great. Um, but yeah, that song is very very personal, and you know the name drops there. I just thought it'd be fun to see if any you know people listening as well see how many like verses from songs or well known lyrics from you know songs of the '80s stars used in to
Hmm.
use. I think it quite, I thought it'd be quite clever, and
Yeah.
then to have a chorus that's quite sort of you know personal, and it's quite clever really the way it sort of spans out. It's talking about, you know, like they're my pop heroes, and
Hmm.
one day they'll be watching me and they'll be saying, "Hey, kid, you've done all right. You know, you've done well. This is a good track. You know, kind of thing." Sort of kind of like a you know play on it really, a bit of fun. So yeah, that's how that came about really. Just a very personal song of what I used to do when I was a kid and what I dreamed about becoming when I was a kid, and it helped me get through school and a lot of my life really.
Yeah. You really have a great way of illustrating those points through your lyrics, and it just the way you deliver them with your vocal just kind of sends it all over the top. I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, it's your music is just so fun to listen to. I guess it's the simplest way that I can put it. So what would you say if you're looking back on all the albums that you've released, all the songs that you've written? What is your own personal favorite one or two? What are the songs that you've written that have the most meaning to you, or that you can step back and say these are the ones that I'm most proud of? So talk to us a little bit about that for a moment.
Okay, so I'd say Red Sky Supernova. The first one is I think that song is so powerful, and the way you know the way it just sounds. I wanted to write a space album for that album, a space themed album, and it's not like it's about this astronaut that's going out to space on his own. I actually worked out a whole stage show to it. You know, I thought I was going to try and take a stage show out and do every single song on the album, and it would be like a proper show, a story. This astronaut going into space, he's on his own, he's on a mission, and he had the robot. I don't know if you've seen the original little live video. There's a robot in it. It's a
Yeah.
very talented artist I got in touch with from the States, actually,
Hmm.
called Nina Miller, I think her name is. And she known as Nano Girl. And I reached out to her and just said, "Look, I love your animations. Can I use one of them for? I've written this song called Little Lie, and it just fits perfectly about a robot that's been programmed to lie, and the email and he's lying to his girlfriend's robot companion, That's what happens in the video, is that she sort of malfunctions because he's learned to lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought this astronaut could have this robot as like a psychic. I worked out all this show to have this guy and this astronaut and this robot going around singing these songs and different things happening. But obviously never came to light. But that was the kind of dream of writing a space themed album that was just synth pop to a T. So Red Sky Supernova kicked that off really. And I just think it's such a, I don't know, it's such a strange sort of well put together song. It's just sort of, it's got so many aspects to it. And then you've got that sort of little late bit at the end where I'm singing Supernova,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it sort of adds that sort of high falsetto, and then it just gives another aspect to it. It's just very dreamy. So that's a very special song to me. Gravity Zero I really like, because that's a very personal sort of love song to me, and I just love the feel of that song. It's very dreamy and atmospheric.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Last Astronaut, got a David sort of Bowie sort of nod there to
Very
Ziggy
much so.
Stardust.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because I love that concept, but also love the fact of what he would be feeling. That fear of panic you would feel every now and then, that you're actually on your own and it must be quite suffocating. Something like kind of like being buried alive. You know that
Right.
you're in space on your own in this suit floating around, and you're going to die at some stage, but
Mm-hmm.
all the time you're breathing, and it's going to be a long painful death to go into it. But just
Yeah.
the song, and I wanted to like that dum dum derive it. I wanted to have something in one of my songs where if I was performing it live, everyone was waiting for the sing along moment,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was it, for me to come up with that. So that's why I wanted that. I wanted a song where I sung it live. I wanted everybody joining in and with their cigarette lighters or their phone torches on, and I thought that was the perfect way to do that with it. So that's that, and also Little Lie as well, obviously, because that was that actually got played by BBC Radio
Oh
here
wow.
when I wrote it. So there's something called BBC Introducing in the UK where they find new artists.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a new artist show, and they played that on that show when I first released it. So that was a big deal for me, and it was quite a, wow, I can't believe that got played on BBC. So yeah, I was well chuffed with that. That's very special to me. And then on the Dolls album, I would say, what's my favourite on there? Skywalker is very personal to me. So I wrote that about my cousin that passed away. And Dolls is like the headline track. Well, there's so many, Jimmy. There's so many. And then Melodies of a Dream Thief, obviously there's Brink, which I think is
Right.
it's about mental health and struggling with mental health, and that's very important to me. So yeah, there's just a few I've named there.
That's fantastic. You as you're listing those songs off, those are pretty much most of the ones that are my personal favorites of yours. And obviously for me, Last Astronaut is at the top, but I would have to say my second one would either be Little Lie or maybe I Still Dream of Antarctica. There's just something about I Still Dream of Antarctica that just really, really, really hits me like right here. And of course, Boys and Girls. I mean, you talked about listening to The Weeknd at the time that you were composing that, and that's when I was about the time that I had discovered The Weeknd as well. And the whole his all that music that he did during that time frame from his After Hours album, the Blinding Lights and uh, In Your Eyes and
Yeah,
Save Your Tears. I mean, just it reminded me so much of the music of the era that I grew up in, and to have The Weeknd dabble into that was totally unexpected. It's like, where did, I don't know what inspired him to do that, but not only did he do it, but he did such a great job of it. And so I
yeah,
still love listening to that album by The Weeknd. But when you put all these songs together, again, there's definitely, as a listener, you can tell listening to the albums that the way that you structure the song order on each of the albums also seems to like tell a bit of a story. It all just flows together perfectly and seamlessly, which is another thing that's not easy to do as a songwriter and as a composer. Again, one more thing that I just have to, tip my hat to you for. And the the thing that I always go back to with your music, Martyn, is not just the amazing power behind your voice, but again, getting back to the way that your music makes me feel. And there's not very many artists that are out there who, when I listen to their music, it really kind of takes me away to this other dimension of where all I can focus on is the atmosphere that your music creates and where that takes me. And that's something that you can't put a price tag. You can't put a value on that. And that's something that has always I've really appreciated about your music. And I don't know if Mae feels the same on that, but when you've come across an artist that can do that for you, you've happened upon something very special. And that's how it's always been my connection that I have with your music as a listener. Mae, what is that like for you when you does Martyn's music tend to take you to some of those places, or what's it
Yeah,
like for you?
absolutely. Red Sky Supernova. I love the way, absolutely, the way that the songs are ordered. There's a theme, and the flow is so really just really there. And I like the with Last Astronaut, of course, I love that song. And when we talked about the sing along, I'm definitely always singing along with the Doom Doom to Ride. But it's very immersive, and I think that's one of those things that when that song is playing, I can't help but to just kind of tune everything else out and feel myself in that song. And it's very melancholy and very reflective. I love the way Dolls flows. And my goodness, while I would say that Last Astronaut could be my favorite song, in truth, my favorite song is 10. And I think not since Sesame Street has someone been able to just count and sing and have it just sound so catchy and just so meaningful, really, because I love the subject of that song of just taking a moment and think before you act. And I
Yeah.
really that one resonates with me because I'm a little
Yeah.
cranky. So, and I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. There are always
Yeah.
reasons that you don't know behind people's actions and their attitudes. And, it could have nothing
That's
to
right.
do with you, and just take that moment and do it. But one of the other things that hasn't been mentioned is that cover of Wolfsheim's The Sparrows and the Nightingale. That's
Mm.
just, that's amazing. Hope no Wolfsheim fans get upset with me, but I actually like that better than the original.
Wow.
There's just something about it that it feels better to me when I listen to it. So I think it's an amazing, yeah. And I love the reprise at the end. And yeah, and I was really glad when you finally set up your own personal Bandcamp page, because
Yeah.
I remember Red Sky Supernova was on the label page, and I had found Dolls on Spotify, and I'm like, oh man. And I read something about, oh, all these CDs sold out, and I want to be able to support this album here that I'm
Yeah.
just, wearing out on Spotify. So when you created your artist page and put Dolls up, oh yeah, I was so excited to
Thanks,
just
mate.
throw money at somebody. So
I really appreciate that. Thanks, mate.
Yeah,
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 do
sure.
it. The 10 song you mentioned, I forgot about that one actually. But yeah, that was the lead single of Dolls. Um, Absolutely. I had a video plan for that as well, but it just didn't come to
I
life.
filmed a part for that video, if I remember
Yes, I
correctly.
know. I sent it out to loads of friends and colleagues to just mind themselves singing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Um, yeah, but it just never came to light at the time. I couldn't get the camera guy that I normally work with to. He wasn't available, and it just sort of time passed. Maybe I'll get it done sometime in the future, maybe, and just release it on a compilation or something.
Right on. No, that's I like me. I'm excited to finally have your inventory, your catalog on Bandcamp. It's so nice to be able to direct people there to to buy your music where you get a bigger cut than you do through a place like Apple Music or iTunes or
Yeah.
someplace like that. So it's man, what a great journey you've been on, and what a blessing it's been for me as a fan, and not just as a fan, but also as your friend, Martyn, to
Yeah.
watch you be on this journey for this last decade of seeing you grow as a songwriter, and your songs just like a fine wine, they get better and better and better as time passes on, which is the hallmark of a truly great song. And you certainly have that natural talent of being able to do that. And it's been such an absolute joy and pleasure to watch you, progress
No, thanks.
to where you are right now, and could not be prouder of you. You speak about your dad being proud of you and Popstar, and I'm proud of you as a friend and as a colleague, as one of your music peers, to have been able to be along for that journey, to watch you bring these things into existence, and it's been a real treat for me to be able to be a
Yeah.
part of that. So
Likewise, Jim, I really appreciate you being there as a close friend that we sort of met online, and I had this. So you've given me a lot of advice as well when I've come to you, because I've come to you with advice on music and stuff. So I really appreciate that. I really value your opinion, and you've been a great friend to me.
thank, thank you. Likewise. So let's talk about another band that I think we all share in common as liking, and that's a band from the UK called the White Lies, right?
Oh my word, yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
you're you're like one of the only people that I know. When I mention White Lies, you're like, oh gosh, I love the White Lies. And nobody
yeah.
here, sadly, in America, there's so few people I've met in the United States that know who they are, and that they're another band like Ice House that just uh, what's his name, Harry McVeigh, is that the lead singer
That's
that
it,
he just,
Harry. Harry's the
yeah,
singer. Yeah.
he is just
Have you
amazing.
seen them yet? They come to the States at all?
They have a couple times, but they never come anywhere, where I am in Salt Lake
Near
City.
you.
I'd have to go to LA. LA is probably the closest place I'd have to go to see the White Lies perform. But man, what an talk about a band that
Yeah,
gives me
so one of
goosebumps.
their I found out one of their big influences. I forgot to mention this band as well. One of mine is Talk Talk. One of
Yeah.
their
Oh
biggest
yes.
Talk Talk.
Mark Hollis. Oh my gosh.
Oh my word! Such a shame, mate. Such a shame. That is probably one of my all-time favorites. Such a shame. That track is just
Hmm.
unbelievable, and his vocal is just so, again, very emotive, but very unusual sort of vocal, and it's so hard hitting, gives you goosebumps. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal. So
And
yeah, so White Lies are big fans of Talk Talk and Joy Division, and they like synth pop, and they formed. I think they're from London area or outskirts of London. I can't remember where
yeah.
exactly, but I've seen them about 3 or 4 times now. Seen them in Brighton twice. No, 3 times in Brighton and once in Portsmouth, I think, it's in the UK, and they're just absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely
Good
phenomenal.
live act. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
phenomenal. I mean, their first album, it's fantastic. With I'm trying to think what's on it. To Lose My Life. That song.
Yes. Let's grow old together and die at the same time. Yeah, love that one.
Yeah, 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 phenomenal. And there's other, they've got some amazing tracks on there. And then their second album was fantastic. And then Big TV, which is I think their third album. You heard
Mhm.
of Big TV?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that
so.
Big
That's the
TV
one that,
song with the guitar solo at the end. That guitar gets me every single time. It's one of the best guitar solos ever.
that's the album that I think has There Goes Our Love Again.
Yeah,
The big TV album. Yeah.
yeah. There goes I Love Again. Yeah,
Yeah,
phenomenal song.
yeah.
But yeah, absolutely love White Lies. Yeah, very, very, very good band.
Awesome. Awesome. So is there any other current bands or current artists, indie or otherwise, that you've discovered lately that you're really enjoying listening to?
Yeah, really love obviously what Mark Bebb does. You know Mark Bebb, of course you do. You
Hmm.
love Mark Bebb, right?
Oh yeah, think the world
Yeah,
of
so
Mark.
good friends with Mark.
Yeah.
I went to see Mark in his Shelter band
Hmm.
a few years ago now,
Yeah.
um, and I was just starting to write Melodies of a Dream Thief, actually. So I told I had those 3 or 4 tracks, and then
Hmm.
he just released their latest album, Shelter, at the time. I can't remember what it's called, but it had 1984 on it. Is it 1984?
Yes,
That song?
yes. What a great song. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
absolutely love
that's
that song. You know,
yeah.
um, I even played it to my kids, and they sing it. You know, and
Hmm.
I think I filmed them singing it to Mark. You know, he
Hmm.
loved that. Um, but yeah, absolutely. That I found that album of theirs very inspiring to help me, you know, write what's to become Melodies of a Dream Thief. I don't think I've actually told Mark that. So Mark, if you're listening, thank you for influencing some of the tracks on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just yeah, love Shelter stuff and the stuff he's doing with it. Is it Darwin?
Darwin McD, yeah. Yeah,
McD, yeah,
he just they just released yesterday, in fact,
yeah,
a beautiful double A side single with Love Resurrection, which of course is the old Alison Moyet uh tune, and then of course Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears. They did a cover of
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
I absolutely love listening to when Mark Bebb and Darwin McD get together and create
yeah,
music. I mean, their song Featherlight, oh my
yeah.
gosh, that's got to be, if I were to choose one song to be a great example of how what a great golden era of synth pop we're living in right now, then I think their song Featherlight would probably be at the top of the list. It's just such a
It's
brilliant,
great.
beautiful, gorgeous song. And yeah, so we're May can tell you we're big fans of both Darwin McD and Mark. So yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Both of them wonderful people.
yep.
yeah,
Absolutely.
great.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely
awesome.
great. And what else am I listening to at the moment? I still go back to the old stuff. I really like the 1975. They're quite an indie sort of guitar-y, but I've got keyboards in there as well. Have you heard of the 1975?
Oh yes. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So I really like their last album. They did a song called "Oh Caroline," and Caroline's the name of my sister. So that sort of,
Ah, nice.
but it's just a very catchy tune, you know. So yeah, really like listening to them. Chris Isaac, still I listen to Chris Isaac quite a lot. He has the highest falsetto I've ever heard. I don't know if you know that,
Oh yes.
but yeah, Chris Isaac, I can't get anywhere near that highest range that he has. I think it's in Lie to Me, and it's like way up there. It
Yeah.
is phenomenal. So yeah, Chris Isaac, I listen to a lot. Yeah, Ice House still a lot. I like Harry Styles actually. Got friends to Harry Styles. I really
Oh,
like.
okay.
It's his I can't remember what song it is, but one of his latest songs was based on "Take on Me," which was good to hear.
Interesting. Hmm.
And "Blinding Lights" was as well. By the Weekend was based on "Take on Me." Was they
Yeah.
wanted a song like that with a
Yeah.
really strong keyboard riff?
Well, that classic riff from Take on Me was done with a Roland Juno 60, and I think I read an interview where Max Martin, the guy that helped produce Blinding Lights with the Weekend, mentioned that they used a Juno 60 for that as well. I mean, you can hear that classic Juno sound all
Yeah,
over that Weekend
yeah,
album, and of course, you know, your Boys and Girls track has that great Juno-esque sounds to it as well. That, you know, dun 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 dun. It's
yeah,
yeah, so I love that. I'm, you know me, everybody that listens to my show, anybody that talks to me knows that I'm a huge Roland fanboy. So
yeah. And
anything Juno or Jupiter, I'm all over it. So yeah.
I think the biggest song that I've heard on your show for me, I played non-stop and knew nothing about them before. Has It's really random probably for you and for me, but it was "Country Boy" by, is it Huguenot?
Huguenot, yeah. Yep.
Huguenot. So I
Yep.
don't know what it is, but that "Country Boy" song just absolutely just gets me.
Yeah.
And I was listening to that a lot when I was writing "Melodies of a Dream Thief."
Hmm.
So that had a big impact on me when I was writing, you know, some of the songs for that album. So absolutely adore Country Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a
That's a
massive.
great song too. Love
That
it.
was a massive find for me when you played that. I thought, what is this? It just sort of gave me goosebumps, and it's just so simple. You know, sometimes you just, you know, you don't need a lot in a song. It just has to be a hook or a certain sound. You know, a bit like I guess I Still Dream of Antarctica. That song is so simple. There's not much to it. You know, there's not many
Mhm.
lyrics in it. but it, like you say, for you, that hits something with you. You know, it's just such
Yeah.
a thing. I think I wrote that song in 3 minutes. Like Little Lie, I think I wrote that in 3 minutes, literally 3 minutes. And sometimes, you know, those songs are the best, aren't they?
Yeah,
Quick ones.
that's well, the two favorite songs that I've ever written would be the song that I wrote for my wife, Sway. And
Yeah,
I literally came up with that with the chord progression. You know, I was in band rehearsal one day with my band at the time, and I was just messing around playing the opening chords from Never Tear Us Apart by INXS. And so I'm
yeah,
like, oh, I forgot about this chord progression. So I'm just playing with it a little bit. And then after rehearsal, I went up to my studio and I started, I turned on everything and I'm like, okay, I'm going to just start hitting this little stab here. And it's like, oh, I like that. And literally the chord progression and the rhythm of the song came together in probably no more than half an hour. And the lyrically, I knew instantly lyrically that I was going to write it about the love story between my wife and I, and that came, probably within 5 minutes or so. So that song came together really quickly. And then the other one for me that came together really quickly was the last song that I wrote as Eminent Soul, which would be um, Oppenheimer's Lament. And May, I know you know that one, and that one's just classic. I It was originally the B side that I wrote for my cover version of OMD's Enola Gay, and so I wanted to come up with a B side that kind of followed that same theme of, Enola Gay was about the plane that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima,
yeah,
and so I wanted my B side to kind of follow that same theme of, the bomb being dropped on Hiroshima. And so I wrote this song called Oppenheimer's Lament, and I patterned it after those great OMD songs that don't feature singing, but like they'll have samples in
mm,
them and they're very atmospheric. And that
yeah,
song literally came together in probably no more than 10 minutes, that I had, the chords, and I had
wow,
the lead melody line. And then it was just a matter of bringing on May, our good friend Jay over in New Zealand, Jeremy Hay. And he recorded an Andy McCluskey like bass guitar. And it's the most atmospheric patch, I think, song I've ever written. And it was cool because after I'd written it and recorded it, OMD came to Salt Lake City to do a show, and of course, I'm longtime friends with Paul
yeah,
Humphreys of OMD, and I let him listen to it, and he was just smiling from ear to ear. He's like, Jim, this is so wonderful, and I'm like, well, I wrote it as if I was, if I was you, Paul, and he's like, well, I can definitely hear the mellotron in there, and I can hear, and he's like, yeah, that definitely sounds has that OMD sound to it. So, but
that must
those
have felt amazing for you when he was saying that, did
Oh,
it?
it was like, you know, I was
Yeah,
walking on cloud nine for I think
yeah, right.
for a full month after he said that he really enjoyed that. And but those were two songs like you were talking about that just came together really fast.
Yeah,
And I think you hear a lot of stories where a lot of fantastic songs just came together really fast. And
yeah,
it's interesting how that happens because the
yeah,
songs that I have to spend a lot of time building or creating don't seem to have quite that impact, and it's interesting how that happens. You know,
yeah, yeah. It is. I mean, there's no rule for me. Sometimes I come up with the lyrics first, you know, and then
yeah,
other times I come up with the music, the melody first, you know.
mhm,
I've always got my phone on me. I'll always sing into my phone if I've got an important melody, hum into my phone. Or, you know, I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes. My missus goes, what are you doing? I said, sorry, I've just thought of an amazing lyric. I'm just going to, you know, type it in my notes in my phone. She goes, oh, for goodness sake, you know, and she turns over, you know,
mhm,
waking up in the middle of the night, or oh my gosh, I've got a really good melody here. So I creep out of the bedroom, stand outside the bedroom door with the door shut on the landing, and then hum this or singing to my phone, recording it. So I remember the melody in the morning. I often do
right,
that as well. So, you know, so it's just, I've just, as a songwriter, I'm constantly thinking of melodies or, you know, but it's so hard. You're thinking, you know, gosh, I hope this doesn't sound like anything else because eventually, you know, something's always going to sound like something. You know, eventually,
right,
every song or melody's probably been done a million times over. It's how they're put together, isn't it, in different,
Yeah,
different ways. But
yeah,
yeah, OMD. Yeah, you mentioned OMD. I love OMD as well. But I've got really two random favourite songs of theirs for me. Helen of Troy, and
yes,
another one's a really weird one. It's what was it? It's a love theme, based on a love theme.
yeah, yeah.
Just don't know why, but I just really, really loved that song. And at the time when it was released, it meant a lot to
Hmm.
me and my girlfriend at the time. I just absolutely love that sort of melody and the song, that song. But yeah, yeah, we love OMD and German bands as well. Alphaville, have mentioned them, and Camouflage. You heard of Alphaville and Camouflage? Of course, you've
Oh
heard of
yes,
Alphaville.
yeah.
But yeah,
Hmm.
really, really big fan of Alphaville. Big in
Hmm.
Japan, absolutely adore that track, and
Yep,
obviously,
yep.
forever young. But big in Japan, I absolutely love.
My band are currently doing a cover of Big in Japan, and guess who got stuck singing the lead vocal on that? And
Oh, please.
I'm barely Dave gone, okay, as far as my vocal range goes. So being able to pull off Marion Gold, not easy.
You got a great tone, though, Jim. You've got a great tone, bud.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, yeah. It's I like a lot. Now, obviously, my favorite German band of all time is Kraftwerk.
What bit did you struggle with in Big in Japan? Is it a bit at the end, really? Where
It's the yeah, it's during the choruses actually. Big in
when he
Japan,
goes up at the end?
all right, and I'll
Yeah,
sleep by your side.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it pushes the upper limit of my range and my voice. What I'm dealing with is my voice just isn't strong enough right now to be able to get through the full length of the song
Bless
without really straining. So yeah.
you. Yeah, nice. It's quite hard. It's quite a hard song.
Yeah, my favorite, yeah, my you mentioned German bands is always going to be Kraftwerk. They are
Yeah,
they're my biggest musical influence of all,
yeah,
and but I love Alphaville. I love Camouflage, especially Camouflage's Voices and Images album. Oh my heavens!
yeah.
Remember when that came out? It was like, you swear you were listening to Depeche Mode at
You
times.
can really hear the Depeche influence, can't you, with them?
Yeah,
Massive.
in a big way. So I love, in particular, Camouflage's first two albums, Voices and Images and Methods of Silence, I think is the
Yeah,
second
One
album.
Fine Day.
And their song "Love Is a Shield,"
Love is a shield.
yeah,
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 great.
"Love is a baby in a mother's arms." Yeah, love it, love it. And gosh, there's another in Division. I like Division quite a bit. But there's also a lot of the newer crop of EBM, German EBM and synth
Yeah,
pop just isn't my cup of tea so much because a lot of it, and I hate to use this because you hear this all the time, but a lot of it just sounds the same to me. There's not a lot of and there's not a lot of bands from the current crop of German synth pop and EBM
yeah,
that really stand up and are unique, I would say.
yeah,
So I don't get into a lot of what the German stuff is. There's some great ones out there that Oren, my boss that I had at Radio Plus, he loved bands like Royce and Logic and Olivia and all these other bands from Europe that kind
mm,
of fit into that mold, and I just I never gravitated much towards it because a lot of it just sounded the same to me, and so um, but I know there's a lot of people out there that love listening to a lot of those bands, but definitely Alphaville, one of my favorite. Did you know that I opened for Alphaville? One of my bands opened for Alphaville back in 1999
no, I didn't know that.
when Alphaville came to the United States, came to North America for the very first time back in 1999. They did two consecutive sold out nights in Salt Lake City. And on their second night in July of 1999, my band was the band that opened up the Saturday evening show. So I got to open for Alphaville. That was
Wow,
kind of
that's
neat.
awesome.
Yeah, so I
That's
got to
brilliant.
meet and hang out with their Marion Gold. Such a wonderful
What's he
man.
like?
Oh, he is an absolute sweetheart of a man. Just think the world of him, and so humble and down to earth, and so gracious. I mean, he's everything that you would hope that somebody like him would be if you ever get a chance to meet him. And just one of to this day one of the favorite celebrities that I've ever met is Marion Gold. He's such a good man,
Oh,
really
wow.
great. Yeah,
So I always thought that they could have been, you know, well, they should have been so much bigger in the UK at the time. But then I think, you know, I think Aha came along around just after they started to get really big, and then obviously Duran as well, and
yeah,
sort of, you know, sort of took the limelight off them a little bit from the UK's perspective. Because I always thought they were fantastic, and he's got a very like that European sort of very powerful, emotive voice,
yes, yes,
hasn't he?
very
You
very
know,
much
when
so.
you listen to the opening bars of Forever Young and his voice coming in, it's just
Yeah,
goosebump time, isn't it?
yeah,
Because it's just
absolutely.
there, you know, bang,
Yep,
isn't it?
yep,
Phenomenal,
sure enough.
phenomenal.
Well, Martin, we've had such a wonderful conversation with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with May and I today. And again, folks, if you've not discovered the music of Martyn Bailey, you can check out his Bandcamp page, which I'm sure is Martyn Bailey. Is martynbaileymusic.bandcamp.com or martynbailey.bandcamp.com? Do you know
I think
offhand?
it's just Martyn Bailey. I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I should know, shouldn't I? Really?
yeah. And for those of you that don't know, folks, is it's Martyn Martyn.
DY, yeah.
So be looking for that. But if you're new to Martin's music, check out his Red Sky Supernova album. Check out Dolls and his brand new album just released a couple of months ago, back this last autumn of 2023, is called Melodies of a Dream Thief. And I guarantee you, folks, when you start going down the Martyn Bailey rabbit hole, you are going to end up in a truly uh, a musical paradise, as it were. And I think
Oh,
you guys,
bless you.
you folks, are going to just fall in love with his music, head over heels, just like May and I have. So to wrap up, May, any closing thoughts or remarks before we tie things up here?
Well, mostly I've just been sitting here just dreamily listening to you guys talking and but had thoughts come into my head and they come and they go. But Oppenheimer's Lament, by the way, absolutely beautifully poignant and sobering, and that's one that gets me. I start to tear up when I listen to it, and even my daughter at 19, listening to it, being understanding what it's about, it affects her too. So I think that's really neat. And but yeah, and I love listening to Martin's stories about just keeping at it, finding something, this escape, and keeping at it and making something amazing from it. And I think that's a really incredible journey that's to go through.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So, Martin, tell us what is on the horizon for Martyn Bailey? What are any exciting things that you have coming down the pipeline for us? What can you tell us?
Yeah, so I'm toying with the idea of doing like a remixes album or extended versions album
Hmm.
of like some of my favorite tracks
Hmm.
from the last three albums. Um, Maybe releasing a special edition of Melodies of a Dream Thief with every track as an extended version.
Hmm.
And I've also got an idea for like I might be doing an EP soon of like three or four tracks, brand new tracks.
Hmm.
But that's sort of but that's sort of on the horizon. So
Right.
that's what I'm sort of toying with. Is just doing some remixes, maybe putting my songs out there. I've got all the stems to Melodies of a Dream Thief, and I might be reaching out to some people maybe to get some remixes done to see how they sound,
Excellent.
and
Well,
maybe releasing that. But I've got some extended versions as well of some of the tracks as well to release. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm going, where I'm looking at. But the EP, I've sort of got three or four new songs I want to record and lay down. So I'm hoping to get them done in the next 6 months, year or so.
fantastic. Do you have any plans to do any live shows? Any
Yeah,
live
yeah,
performances?
yeah. That's also the other big news is that I started rehearsing before Christmas, and then I got another bout of COVID again over
Oh boy. Hmm.
Christmas, and it sort of affected vocals for a while.
Yeah.
And then my stepdad got really poorly and passed away sadly in February, March time.
Hmm.
So, but I'm going back in the studio in the next month or so, and I'm hoping to like play live sort of in the summer or back end of the summer and get back out there again, and maybe join a synth circuit and perform with some other UK synth acts that are performing. Because if we do that around here, we sort of do 2 or 3 bands in a night. You
Right.
know, sort of showcase like an hour each or an hour and a half each in an evening, which is quite cool.
Well, I'll tell you what my dream lineup would be to see you and EMT performing together. I'd love to see
Yeah,
that because I'm such a big fan of what Tony and Emma do, and yeah, that's always been like one of
I
my.
did done that already. Did that very early on,
Yeah,
about probably about 10 years ago now. I did a show with them, and I did some tracks from Red Sky Supernova
yeah,
and from the Dolls album. So that was a really good night. But hopefully we do it again.
yeah. That'd be awesome. Well, thank you again so much, Martyn, and we are so appreciative of you for talking with us today and sharing with us how your creative mind works and what your background is, and giving my audience a chance to get to know the man, Martyn Bailey, and of course your amazing talent that you've been sharing with us for over 10 years now, and we're all so much the richer for it. So truly,
Bless you.
my friend,
Thank you.
hats off to you, and of course, we absolutely
Thank you.
love and adore you, not just as an artist, but just as a person. You're such a good man, and it's so wonderful to see you and your wife post things occasionally about things you're doing with your kids, and I just have this feeling that you're just the most amazing dad. Because
I tried
I'm my favorite thing in the world is being a dad. I love my kids so much, and nothing enriched my life more than having kids. And they're all older now. I mean, my oldest son he's going to be 24 this year, and my youngest is just getting ready to finish high school next year. So they're all older, but man, there was just nothing like having those babies just come up to you and give you those hugs, and wanting you to.
I know it's great, right? I know, and then passing your musical influences onto them, so they get a good,
Oh yes.
they got a good starting base. You know, my
Oh yeah.
daughter's a massive fan of Michael Jackson and Madonna, Kate
Uh-huh.
Bush,
Yeah.
so real old school. And that's so nice. And Kalen, bless him, he loves Aha. He would not do, would he? But his middle name is Harkett, so
Oh, there
he's
you go. That's so cool.
Kalen Harkett Bailey, Kalen Martyn Harkett Bailey.
It's
Um,
that's so cool your wife let you get away with that, because my wife would not let me do that, because at one point I was contemplating, when we knew we were having a son, I'm like, well, okay, we know, if we have multiple sons, I want to name one after me, but what about if I have a third son, maybe we should call him Vince Clark Kelgard. And Michelle was like, no. So Michelle and I had to compromise, because when our daughter was born, we Michelle and I could not agree on a name for our daughter. I wanted to name my daughter Athena, because I always thought that the name Athena was a beautiful name. And
yeah,
my wife wanted to name my daughter Sadie, and I'm like, Sadie, that's an old lady. That's what you like name a French poodle, yeah, Sadie. That's what you name. So I'm like, we are not naming our daughter Sadie. So finally, we agreed on Rachel would be her first name, and then it was time to come up with her middle name. And so it's like we couldn't agree on that. And so finally, my wife goes, I've always liked the girl's name Cynthia, and I'm like, oh, Cynthia. Hmm. So I said, how would you feel if, instead of spelling Cynthia Cynthia, if we spelled it Synthia? And Michelle, she rolled her eyes and she's like, fine. So my
It's a
my daughter's
win.
my daughter's middle name is in fact Cynthia, spelled Synthia. So she's my little synthesizer, because Michelle wouldn't let me call her Juno either. So what can you do? So that's cool that you named Kaylin's middle name was um, Harkett. I like that. I really
like
like
it.
that. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my daughter, we had a struggle with that because I liked Alana, and my wife liked Rose. So in the end, we sort of stuffed it with a hyphen. It called her a lot. So we did. We called her Alana Rose, and
Oh,
to put a
nice.
hyphen.
That's really
And
pretty.
yeah, everybody loves it. So it was just, it's good that we decided to do that. We're pleased that we did that. We thought she might be annoyed, having to write that at school, but she actually loves her name, so that's good.
That's
And
awesome.
they're both good little singers as well. They're coming along nice. So I'm hoping that they're gonna, get the bug and join bands and sing and do stuff.
That would be
Dudes, I'm
awesome.
just glad all my kids can feed themselves. That's
Oh
I've got
yes.
I've gotten two out of the house as adults without strangling them, and
Yeah,
yeah. So just yeah.
bless you. Yeah.
The struggle is
It's
real,
tough
isn't
when they get older, isn't it? Right? Because Alana Rose is getting in. She's 12, going on 13. She'll be 13 in August, and yeah, she's starting to, to be, a teenager, classic sort of teenager.
it? Yeah. Yeah. Right
Bless her.
on. Well, I've got a band for you to listen to if you haven't yet, and you've probably heard them. I don't know why it just came to me. We should have talked about it a few moments ago, but there's a great band from LA called Cannons. Are you familiar with them at all?
They're called what? Sorry,
Cannons. C-A-N.
Cannons.
Yeah, Cannons. Cannons.
No, I've not heard of them.
Oh, if you like White Lies, and they're very atmospheric, but they're really oh, I don't even know how to begin to describe them other than to say I absolutely love them. Just absolutely amazing female vocal. And so, yeah, check out Cannons and check out a song of theirs called Goodbye. That's like one of my favorites.
Goodbye.
So that's your homework, Martyn. Go check out Cannons and
Check out Cannons.
let me
Okay.
know what you think of them. But again, thank you so much. And folks, if you like the content that you just saw here
Thank
with
you
our
guys.
discussion with Martyn Bailey, hit that subscribe button that's down there somewhere there on YouTube, and you'll be notified every time May and I have a new spotlight series to show to you. This is where we welcome the artists in the indie synth and indie rock community into our virtual studio and taco bar, and just talk about the music making process and what it is that makes them who they are as far as musicians and artists go. So join us next time. We're happy to announce that May and I are going to have the next series of spotlight interviews. We're going to be talking with Christopher Anton. We're excited about that, and we're going to be talking about a another artist from the United States that I've played on my show before by the name of Sadkin, and we're really excited about talking with Max from Sadkin about that amazing David Bowie-like influence that he has in his music. So we're going to have some great stuff coming up in the not too distant future from Christopher Anton and Sadkin as well, and we're going to announce even more in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that, folks. With that, everyone, thank you again to you, May. Thank you to Martyn, Mr. Bailey, and we'll look forward to doing this with you again sometime soon. And we will see all you folks next time, folks. See ya.